Welcome to Across Africa, France 24's weekly roundup from across the continent. Coming up this week, South Sudan objects to a UN plan to send thousands of troops into Juba in the wake of last month's fatal clashes between rival forces. And the government responds to rape allegations levelled against its soldiers by saying that it's not certain who was to blame. Also, warmth, water and writing. The first beach library in Morocco is back. Once again, a boat of books sails into the resort town of Jadida, tempting visitors to get away with a good tale. And we take a look at the lemurs of Madagascar, whose rarity draws in the tourists, but conservationists are struggling to preserve the precious rainforests in which they live. Well, on Wednesday, South Sudan rejected a UN Security Council proposal to send in 4,000 extra African troops to Juba in the wake of recent fatal clashes. Nearly 300 people died last month in fighting between soldiers of President Salva Kiir and those loyal to ex-rebel chief Riek Machar. Juba said that a foreign protection force would undermine its sovereignty. Now, I asked the government spokesman about the role its own soldiers have played in targeting citizens. UN rights investigators allege some have been implicated in the rape of women last month.
The army in South Sudan are disciplined and they adhere to the rule of engagement. And therefore, they cannot be raping their own women. It is the same army that fought for the liberation of this country that is still here. There is no new army that has been brought in so that, we mistrust them and say that they will be going out on rampage to rape women. That's not true. It is only those who wanted South Sudan to be seen as a country which is not capable of running its own self that are the ones putting all these accusations. The forces that we have accepted are the forces to only, give protection to the GEMEC, which is an oversight, to the peace agreement that we signed last year, and also the protection of IDPs. And that of humanitarian agencies.
I just want to be clear. You're saying that you do not support concerns expressed by the UN after having conducted interviews with alleged victims that South Sudanese troops have assaulted South Sudanese civilians?
The only problem is that, those who write such reports, you cannot even distinguish between which one is South Sudanese troop and which one is, belonging to the rebel, because they are in the same military party. And whenever things are done, and particularly the rebels can do this in order for the government to be polarized, so long as those who are actually writing all these reports do not adhere to the fact that, they have to look critically at who has done this or who has not done that. So it is unfortunate that kind of report is actually always accusing the government soldiers, when in actual fact government soldiers don't do this.
But they're accusing the government they're accusing the government forces based on interviews with victims.
No, but it depends on who you ask in South Sudan. South Sudan is a country that is so polarized, to be honest with you. No, the country is so polarized to the extent that, depending on where you are and who you want to ask, you will find different results altogether. You are going to ask those IDPs inside the camps who are mainly, belonging to a certain ethnicity. They would be trying to, to implicate government soldiers, given that the picture that was given to our side, looks like one ethnic group is actually controlling the government of South Sudan army, which is not correct.
Well, this week, Chadian opposition activists said that they'd filed a complaint of high treason against President Idriss Deby. He was sworn in for a fifth term in office on Monday, but some of his critics still allege that his win was a fix.
Idriss Deby is used to swearing in ceremonies. He took power in 1990 and is starting his fifth mandate.
I, the elected president, according to the laws of the country, solemnly swear in front of the Chadian people to preserve and respect the Constitution.
14 African presidents came to N'Djamena. Like Deby, many of them are taking part in the struggle against jihadist groups in the Sahel region and in Nigeria. The French Defense Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian also made the trip. His presence was criticized by the opposition, who called Deby a dictator. Paris considers Deby as its best military ally in the region. following Chad's interventions in Mali and the Central African Republic. And N'Djamena is also the headquarters of Barkhane, France's military operation in the Sahel region. In April, Deby officially won the election in the first round with nearly 60% of the vote. Tensions remain high. Last Sunday, a protester was shot dead during a demonstration against Deby.
A group of Togolese foodies are encouraging people to look to their past for their repast by stirring up communities' appetites for forgotten ancestral dishes. Our correspondent sent us this report.
Dishes cooked the old-fashioned way have become a rare commodity in town. In Lomé, the capital of Togo, the concept has gained in popularity over the last 2 years. The flavors are one of a kind.
The first time I came here, I asked them how they were able to prepare such a dish. So I tried it at home, but it didn't taste the same. So I came back.
In this courtyard, a few meters behind a typical restaurant, are the guardians of the secrets behind the best tastes and flavors. To counter the invasion of imported products flooding the Togolese market that unfortunately are not always healthy, a local organization approached the women to revive tasty home cooking.
I eat how my parents used to eat. I grow my own tomatoes. I don't buy tinned tomatoes, it makes me sick.
The products that come from abroad are kept in tins with preservatives and additives, which can make you sick. Yet we have natural products that are good to eat here at home. This is a sauce we call lama, and this is a nyato leaf sauce.
The dishes are made from onion leaves or moringa, reintroduced into sauce recipes to fight malnutrition. But these endangered edible plants are becoming a struggle to find.
We don't look for them, so we don't produce them, and they're becoming rare. We need a push from consumers to ask for these products from restaurants, or for each of us to look for these leaves and prepare them on a daily basis, so there'll be more producers.
Now it just remains for Togolese to be persuaded to indulge in their own local products to support and boost the agricultural and food processing sector in the country.
Well, now it's time to book your time on the beach. We head to a resort in Morocco where a seaside library is tempting tourists to get away from it all with a good tale.
Summer holidays at the resort of El Jadida in northwest Morocco. This is by far the most popular beach of the area. A strange ship has docked among the parasols, which curious bathers discover is filled with books that they can take to read. The vessel of beach books is run by AODEL, who works at the city library. He says it's a way of getting people into reading.
We want to encourage reading by going straight to the public and not wait for them to come to the library. We're trying to attract them with the system of a library concept. The boat makes them curious. Then they come and they find the books. At first they hesitate, but then they get more into it. They pick up books, flip through them, and then they're hooked.
Here there are novels, cookbooks, travel guides, books on science, collections of poems, even comics. There's something for everyone.
I'm interested in anything scientific. I picked up this book, which is called The Composition of the Atmosphere. When I heard that there was a library at El Jadida, I convinced my parents to bring me here.
Events with authors have also been organised. Fans can meet their favourite writers while they enjoy some reading time at the waterfront.
I always love promoting books in places where people are going about their normal daily lives. It's really great to be here, where people are swimming, where they are just enjoying their holidays.
This is the third year for the El Jadida Beach Library experiment. Organisers hope that its success will mean they can take the project to other beaches across Morocco next summer.
Lemurs are unique to Madagascar, but sadly the primates are one of the most threatened groups of mammals on the planet. And as their rarity continues to attract tourists, the island is struggling to protect the rainforests in which they live.
Behind the mists of Madagascar lie some of the most mysterious parks in the world, with 16,000 hectares of tropical forest. A veil behind which flourish species found nowhere else in the world. But if you want to see them, you have to follow their sounds. It's via these strange cries that the residents of this forest communicate. Finding their source can take hours of walking.
There are some lemurs going by here somewhere.
6 lemurs are clinging to this branch. The species is usually unseen in daylight as they're nocturnal. But there are 14 other species in this park, many of which can be spotted in the day. These small primates who live hidden in the treetops are the treasure of Madagascar. They live no other place on Earth. Jean-Etienne Toto is one of the guardians of this sanctuary. For 20 years, he's guided tourists in the forest. Looking for its inhabitants, he can decipher their calls.
There's a call of fear, a cry of alarm. He continues like that, wah, 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 like that. That's to alert the group, and the normal call, that's whiff, whiff. It's like that.
Among all the lemurs in the park, one is the star of the show, who everyone wants to see. It's the Indri, the biggest lemur in the world. An adult can measure up to 70 centimetres and can live up to 80 years with a family life almost like our own.
They live in small families. They have babies every 2 or 3 years with one mate for life. They stay alone when they've lost their mate. It's impossible to capture the Indri.
No zoo has this species. To keep it from disappearing, Madagascar preserves its forests. But the island has lost 80% of it in a single century. 43 parks are now protected to keep a flora and fauna among the richest in the world.
Well, that's it for Across Africa this week. Thanks for joining us. Please do so again if you can. Take care.